Hi, welcome to another episode of Look Ma No Hands. My name is Linda, and this is a program where I talk about what I'm wearing, what I'm stitching, what I'm reading, what I'm watching, and this week I have a new edition of Fancy Footwork where I show how I've adapted a daily skill to my unique abilities of doing things with my feet. Okay, so we'll dive right into what I'm wearing. This week I'm wearing one of my favorite lightweight ponchos that I've done. I used the pattern from Fiber Spider for the Which Way Filet blanket square. I made 4 squares and then stitched them together to make a poncho. So what I did was just kind of made the squares to be about like 18 to 20 inches. I can't remember exactly how big they were. I'll probably try and do some measurements to see if I can figure it out, but I just made the 4 squares and then went ahead and stitched those squares into a granny style poncho, and then I did a little bit of front post, back post crochet around the neckline to give it a little bit more style and kind of finish off the top edge. After I was finished, the neckline was just a little bit too loose and kind of droopy, so I made a crochet chain and ran it through some of the stitches to give it a little bit more structure around the neckline area to keep it from falling off my very narrow shoulders, and it works out really well. So I'll pop in some pictures from a vacation that I took a few years ago where I actually wore this poncho and got lots of compliments. It's very comfortable, it's lightweight. I believe I used a Premier cotton, I want to say like a fingering weight yarn, and maybe DMC cotton thread. So like I said, very lightweight, quite thin yarn. It felt like forever to make this poncho. Usually I can make ponchos in a few days. This one took a little longer, but I really like it. It's very comfortable, very lightweight, and just kind of an airy open stitch. So yeah, I'll dive right into what I'm stitching this week. So last week, if you remember, I wore my granny stitch sweater with those teal and green and blue colors. I made a second one of that same sweater pattern using a wool yarn. It was pink and gray. Still have to weave in the ends for that, but I'll definitely make sure and pop in a picture. And I love the pattern so much that when I finished that one from last week, I started in on a third one and decided this time, since I had a good deal more yarn in the colors that I had picked out, to go along with it and turn it into a dress. So I have that dress finished, just finished that last night. It turned out really nice. Another picture that I'll pop in of me wearing the dress. It's definitely gonna be a wintertime garment because it's wool yarn, and trying it on last night during the daytime, the temperatures got up to like the upper 70s. So I was quite warm with it on, and decided that it's for sure going to be something to wear in like the deepest, coldest part of winter because it's very toasty. Since I just finished that last night, I have nothing new on the hook, but I've been teasing my son because he's been kind of begging me to make him kind of like a polo style button front shirt. And I said, I've been teasing him saying, what do you think, this is a sweatshop? You're gonna have me sitting here stitching like crazy to make something for you? Because he's begging me, when are you gonna finish? Are you done yet? Have you started my shirt yet? So I will be starting that sometime this weekend. I'm not sure if I'll start today or wait until tomorrow, but he's chomping at the bit wanting to know when Mom's gonna get his shirt done for him. So yeah, that's what I'm stitching, and I'll definitely make sure and drop the link for where I source the pattern from. I like to try and do that as best I can when there's a pattern available. If it's something that I just make up off the top of my head, obviously there's no pattern. But this is something that I found a YouTube video for, so I'll share the information on that in case you're interested in making one for yourself. I'm just gonna power through today. What I've been reading. I finished Map of Days by, oh goodness. I finished Map of Days by Ransom Riggs. There we go, that's the name of the author. It was very good. That was the 4th book in the series, and after reading 4 books, it becomes a little predictable, but I enjoyed it so much. The antics that the kids got up to now that the peculiars are spending some time in Jacob's world of the normal people. They definitely got up to some crazy antics. Of course, Jacob is searching for answers as to who his grandfather really was, since he found out that Grandpa wasn't who he thought he was. The plot thickens. He's finding out a lot of things, having to kind of resolve some feelings around what he's finding out about his grandfather. There's a lot of adventure in all of it, danger. It was a lot of fun just kind of following their journey. And of course, being that there's 2 more books in the series, they leave off on a cliffhanger at the end. So I'm taking a little bit of a break from that right now. Didn't want to get burnt out. There's only 2 books left, but I also had to take a break because I keep getting to be the next in line for some books that I had put on hold, and I've kind of deferred them a few times because I was in the middle of reading other stuff. So this time I decided to pick up the hold, and I'm reading 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm loving this book. It's about a Hollywood actress, starlet, from the 50s and 60s, and she decides she wants to tell her life story to a journalist. She picks a specific journalist, contacts the magazine that the journalist works for, saying she wants to talk to that particular journalist, and the owner of the magazine is under the impression that they're going to be getting a story for the magazine. Turns out that's not the case, and Evelyn is telling her story to the journalist. I find it interesting because we all think of Hollywood as being iconic, and we all want to kind of live that lifestyle. It looks very gilded, it looks very romantic, and just going to all the parties and things like that. But we don't think about the darker side of what it must be like to live your life in the spotlight, always having people watching what you're doing, from what you eat to who you're dating, who you get married to. When you're in that relationship, what does it look like in terms of your family choices? And in this book, Evelyn is talking quite a bit about all of that, and you kind of get a look into what life was like for women in the 50s and 60s in terms of their marital status and how all of that works, and how it was rather unpleasant in terms of like going from being in your father's house to being in your husband's house and not having a lot of say in your own life choices. And then add to that, she works in Hollywood, so expectations are different in terms of how her life is run from that aspect. So it's just a very interesting read. I'm about maybe like 65% of the way through the book, so I'll be interested to see how it ends. It's fiction, but I'm sure there is definitely some truth to what is in there, and it really makes me rethink my perception of all of those like iconic starlets that you think of when you think of like Judy Garland and like all of those actresses from like the golden era of film, and how difficult their lives must have been. Like we think of like the glamour and things like that, but behind the scenes what was happening, we kind of know a little bit of like the darker side of things, but this fictional representation of it really makes me think a lot harder about what Hollywood presented and what was the truth. So yeah, there's that. This week what I've been watching is a lot of the same. Will Trent, one of my favorites. I've definitely come to adore the character of Will Trent. He's very like multifaceted and like very troubled, kind of a tortured soul kind of character. This week's episode was very dramatic, and my heart was very much like bleeding for Will because of something that he had done while he was on the job that he had a difficult time resolving for himself, which stands to reason. I don't want to spoil anything in case you haven't seen it or you want to watch it, but as a law enforcement officer, he made a decision to do something that didn't pan out well. So he had to then live with the consequences, and he'll continue to have to live with the consequences of what he did in this week's episode. And then watching General Hospital, a lot of the storylines that I love are moving forward, and some of the things that I kind of saw coming are coming to fruition. I was like, yeah, I saw that. I knew that was going to happen. Just typical General Hospital stuff. It's exciting and predictable, and I love it. Let's see what else. Thursday night lineup with 911 was very good this week. Continuation of the story with Maddie and the trauma, both physical and emotional, that she suffered. I love how they touch on how emotional trauma can really play into our physical health and can manifest itself in physical ways, and kind of like how it's important to pay attention to our mental health as much as we do our physical health. So that was a nice, reminder for viewers about, being gentle with ourselves and being gentle with one another. The compassion that Maddie's husband shows in her recovery from the trauma, and all the support that she got from all of her friends and things like that. It's my hope that anybody that would experience a terrible tragedy like she did gets the kind of support she's getting. Again, like, I hope that when people watch it, it makes them think about how we can support one another in tough times. So yeah, I like that show. Dr. Odyssey. What I love about that show is just how crazy it seems. Like, I can't imagine that that's how cruise ships really are. But it's definitely a fun watch. I guess it would kind of be like if you watched Love Boat back in the day. I'm sure there's not a lot of realism in that show. But yeah, this show, they really push the limits on some of the things that are done on the show. And of course, my favorite, Grey's Anatomy. Love that show. Longtime viewer. It amazes me how they can continue to evolve old characters and also bring in the new characters and develop them as like an artistic person myself, a creative person myself. Just thinking of like the process of how that all works always amazes me. Like to just create like a whole world like that and just continuously like have new characters come in and new storylines, and yeah, it just I love that show. Anyways, we've been watching Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? Awesome show, love it. I love trivia, so that's fun aspect of that show, but then also just the antics that the celebrities put out while they're on the show, and Travis Kelce as the host is really great, so we've been enjoying that one. Catching up on a few old episodes of ER, watching Who's the Boss, and this week a new show that started on Hulu called Mid-Century Modern. We've watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and the show is hysterical. It's a lot of fun to watch. Yeah, I love Nathan Lane. He's hilarious. So, good show. Watched a few more episodes of The Pitt. Getting caught up on Umbrella Academy. And we finished off Temptation Island. So yeah, there's that. Temptation Island did not disappoint. Pretty much the predictions that we made as to who's going to whose relationships would survive, the ones that we knew were going to fail and collapse. Maybe a few surprises that came about from all of it, but for the most part we nailed it. It was a good show. Like I said, drama, reality for what reality is worth. I guess nowadays they call it unscripted, but yeah, it was interesting. And again, I like to watch the show and kind of look to see how things get edited to kind of manipulate the circumstances of the show and manipulate the outcomes. You could definitely see where production kind of pushed things in a certain direction. So it would be interesting to be a fly on the wall and see how, like, what gets cut, because we don't see everything that happens. Obviously, it's an hour-long episode every week. But even seeing things that got cut together for the couples to watch each other's experiences, I could see where production, like I said, pushed things in a certain direction. They edited for the way they wanted to direct the show, the direction they wanted to push it towards. Kind of question how ethical that is, because they're playing with people's lives. But I mean, those people signed up for the show, so I guess production can't be too guilty in that, but definitely question some of the editing that happens during that show. So yeah, that's what I've been watching. I guess now I'll talk a little bit about the fancy footwork part of things. this week I decided I wanted to show how I dry my hair after I get out of the shower. I have a stand that I put my hair dryer on. I've had this stand, oh gosh, maybe since like my late teens, early 20s. And it was like an As Seen on TV product that I purchased. It's basically just like a big metal pole with like a telescoping handle. It has like a gooseneck kind of bendy part to it, and then some Velcro straps to attach the hair dryer, so I can use any hair dryer on it. I've used maybe 3 or 4 different hair dryers in this stand over the years. Currently I'm just using like a Conair, nothing fancy hair dryer. I doubt that this particular stand is still on the market, but there's definitely others out there that if you're like, oh, that's a great idea, like why didn't I think of that? You can just search Amazon or Google search hairdryer stand, and I'm sure something would come up. But I really love this hairdryer stand. It's served me so well over the years. I can use it like I did today, where I'm sitting on the floor and drying and brushing my hair that way. Or if I want to, I can set the stand on the countertop or a tabletop and just kind of stand in front of it. My preferred way is to use it while I'm sitting on the floor, because then I can put conditioner or sprays or whatever into my hair. Today I used just a leave-in conditioner on my hair, a lotion conditioner, and then I can also kind of run the brush through my hair as I'm letting it dry. It's a great device. I really enjoy having it. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have it, but yeah, I just spent some time running the hair dryer, running the brush through my hair, and it's a little fluffy today, but yeah, it works good for me. I don't know how else I would dry my hair if I didn't have the stand. I've had it for so many years that like I honestly don't know how I ever lived without it. And I'm glad that I found a solution for a fairly common thing that we do. And I'm glad that it wasn't something that cost tons of money. I think it maybe cost me like 20 bucks at the time, which at that time probably seemed like a lot more than it does now. But yeah, it was a very easy to obtain device, not intended for disability purposes, but it served me well, and I just thought I'd share my solution for it in case you find a need for it. Maybe you have arthritis, or maybe you just want to be able to have both hands free to do some styling. So this would be great for that purpose too, to be able to set the hair dryer on the stand, and then you have both hands free to use a brush or the flat iron. I don't really style my hair that much. Just using the hair dryer is about as far as I go in terms of styling my hair. So yeah, there's that. I just want to say thanks to everybody for watching this week. I really enjoy reading the comments. It's fun to have that little bit of interaction in the comment section. If I don't respond to every comment with a comment, I will definitely click that little heart button to let you know that I've read it and I see you. Like, I enjoy knowing that people are out there watching what I've been up to, and yeah, it's just a fun way to interact. I'm enjoying watching the growth of the channel. So if you're watching this video and you've watched several others and you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and click the subscribe button. If you want to be notified when I put out something new, typically I post a new video on Saturday evenings, so there's that kind of regular engagement there. Try to be kind of predictable in that way, but go ahead and hit the notification so that you can know when I'm posting a video, because there may come a time when I post something in between my weekly updates. Leave a comment, and otherwise just have a great week. I appreciate you coming back time and again. If this is your first time, awesome. I hope to see you back again some other time. But until then, have a great week,